Sefer HaYabelim, Book of the Jubilees, corrected by Daniel Adam Fink, copyright 2025. Jubilees 8. And in the 29th Jubilee, in the first week of the first year, Arphacshëd took to himself a wife, and her name was RatsuYah, daughter of Shushan, daughter of Eilam, to him to wife. And a son was born to him in the third year of this week, and he called his name Keinam. And his son grew, and his father taught him to write, and he went to ask him for a place to build there a seat city. And he found a writing that the first fathers etched in stone, and read the engraving on it, and he copied it, and found in it the sign of the program of science which the guardians ordered, the chariot of the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and of all the signs of heavens. And he wrote in the book, and he did not say anything of all these matters, because he was afraid to say it to Naukh, lest he castigate him. And in the 30th Jubilee, in the second week of the first year thereof, he took a wife, and her name was Mëlcah, daughter of Mëdai, son of Yaphëth. And in the fourth year she bore him a son, and he called his name Shëlakh, because he said, sending I was sent. The phrase Shulach Shalachti is a Hebrew alliterative pun on the name Shëlakh. In the fourth year after Shëlakh was born, he grew and took to himself a wife, and her name was Mëlcah, daughter of Cëshëd, his father's brother, to him for a wife. And in the 31st Jubilee, in the first week of the first year, she bore him a son, and he called his name Ebër. And he took to him a wife, and her name was Atsorath, daughter of Nëmëraud, in the 32nd Jubilee, in the 7th week of the third year. And in the 6th year she bore him a son, and called his name Phëleg. For in the days of his birth the sons of Naukh were willing to divide the land between them. For this reason he called his name Phëleg. The word leflug is a Hebrew alliterative pun on the name Phëleg. Compare the Hebrew word neflagah in the following verse, Jubilees 8:16, and again in Genesis 10:25. But they did not divide it between them, and told it to Naukh. And at the beginning of the 33rd Jubilee, they divided the land into three parts, to Shëm, to Kham, and to Yaphëth, according to their inheritance, in the first year, in the first week, in the eyes of one of the angels from us who were sent to them. And he called his sons, and they and their sons approached him, and he divided the land by lot, which his three sons would inherit. And they spread their hands and took the lots from the bosom of their father Naukh. And there came out the lot of Shëm in the middle of the land, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons, to their generations for eternity, from the center of the mountain range of Rëpha, from the place of the outflow of the stream Thinah. And it became the border of his land to the end of the sea, through the midst of that stream, and it descends, approaching unto the headwaters of this stream. And the waters of the stream outflow into the Sea of Mai'ot, and this outflows into the great sea. All that is from the north to Yaphëth, and all that is to the back south of it to Shëm, and it goes out, approaching unto KaraSu, which is in the bosom of the tongue, that is a peninsula, that faces south, and crosses it from there, the border of his lot, to the shoulder of the great sea. And it goes from there unto the approach across the tongue, that is the peninsula, from which approaches the sun viewed southward. And there this sea is the tongue, in this case tongue is a gulf of the Sea of Mëtsrayim. And it goes down from there south before the outflow of the great sea, and it rubs the shoulder of the waters, and passes before the land of Auphir, and it crosses further until it approaches the waters of the river Gikhon, and extends from south of the waters of the Gikhon to the bank of this river, and it crosses east until it approaches the enclosure of Edën southward, to the southeast of all the land of Edën, and to all of the east. And from there it turns forward and up until it reaches before the Mount Rëpha, and it descends against the bank of the mouth of the stream Thinah. This is the inheritance which came forth by lot for Shëm and his sons, that they should possess forever unto his generations forever. And Naukh rejoiced that this lot came forth for Shëm and for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy, for he had said, Blessed be Yahuh, god of Shëm, and may Yahuh dwell in the tents of Shëm. And he knew that the enclosure of Edën is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of Yahuh. And Mount Sinai is the center of the desert, and Mount Sion is the center of the navel of the land. All three of them, each in the presence of his brother, were created for the temples of the land. And he blessed the God of gods, who had put the word of Yahuh in his mouth. And he knew that a blessed and happy lot fell into the hands of Shëm and his sons, unto their generations forever. It is the entire length of the Erythraean Sea, and the entire land of the east, and the land of Hoodoo, and the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan, and all the land of the Lebanon, and the shores of Caphtor, and all the mountains of Shemir, and Ammana, and the mountains of Ashur to the end of the north, and all the land of Eilam, and Ashur, and Babel, and Shushan, and Mëdai, and all the land of Ararat, and all the land beyond the sea, that is, beyond the mountains of Ashur, towards the north. A blessed and spacious land in their hands, and all that is in it is very good. And for Kham came forth the second lot, from beyond the Gikhon, toward the south to the right of the enclosure, and it crosses south of Thinah, and it crosses further toward the mountains of fire, and it turns to the end of the Sea of Atil, and it extends toward the approach to the Sea of the Bowl. This is the sea in which whoever goes down will never come up. And the outline of the border is northward from the end of Gadith, and it rubs on the shoulder of the coast across the other side of the great sea, unto its approaching the river Gikhon on the right, that is south, of the enclosure of the Edën. And this is the land that came forth by lot for Kham and his sons, as the inheritance that he was to possess forever, to him and to his sons throughout their generations forever. And for Yaphëth came forth the third lot beyond the stream Thinah, to the north of the outflow of its waters, and it turns to the end of the northeast, all the region of Gog, and to all the country east thereof. And it ascends the recesses of the north to the mountains of Kilt, towards the north, and to the shoulder of the Sea of Magog. And it turns from the east to Gadith, approaching toward the coast of the sea. And it crosses until it approaches the east of Rëpha. And it returns and approaches opposite Africa. And it comes forth eastward to the end of the waters of the Sea of Mai'ot, and it crosses to the right hand, again that's south, of the stream Thinah, throughout the northeast, until it approaches the boundary of its waters before the Mount Rëpha, and it turns and goes north. This is the land that came forth for Yaphëth and for his sons, as the inheritance that he was to possess forever, to him and to his sons, throughout their generations forever. 5 great islands, and a great land in the far north. But it is cold, and the land of Kham is hot. Verily, the land of Shëm is neither arid nor icy, but it is a blend of cold and heat alike.